Welcome to the Women's Golf Network Beginner Program. Now that you have a few lessons under your belt, you're almost ready to get on the course. Today, we'll be covering what you'll see when you first arrive on the hole, navigating the hole from tee to green, including what to do when you hit into the hazards, and basic rules and etiquette for both maintaining respect within the group as well as maintaining respect for the golf course and the groups behind you. Let's get started. The first thing you will see when you arrive on a hole are the tee boxes. There are 4 tee boxes: the black tees, blue, white, and red tees. You will notice that the black tees are the farthest from the hole. Black and blue tees are typically used by those who have a low handicap. As a beginner, you will use the forward tees, which are typically red. Sometimes you will find them as white or yellow. Once you are on the tee and you have a look around, you may see some water hazards. You will see the fairway in front of you, some rough along the edges. You may see some sand bunkers, and you'll see the green off in a distance with the hole and flag. If that fairway turns, you may not see the green from the tee. In this case, you will want to refer to your scorecard for a map of that hole. The scorecard should indicate the shape of the hole, where the hazards are placed, the distance of the hole, what the par is for the hole, and where the green is placed at the end of the fairway. Par is the number of strokes that it should take to complete that hole. Not everybody shoots par. A par 3 hole is shorter and should only take 3 strokes. Par 4s have a longer distance with 4 recommended strokes, and par 5s are the longest with 5 strokes and typically presenting more hazards and a turn of the fairway. The number 1 rule to remember when you are on the tee is to remain quiet and refrain from talking while other people are teeing off. This is the most respectful thing that you can do for someone as they concentrate on their shot. After you have all teed off, you'll likely be navigating down the course either in a power cart or using a pull cart. There are a couple of rules to consider with power carts, which may vary per golf course as well, depending on the weather conditions you are experiencing at the time. The first rule that may vary due to the condition of the fairways is the 90-degree rule. This means that you would keep your power cart on the cart path and only go out to the course on a 90-degree angle towards your ball. Once you hit your ball, you would turn around and go back towards the cart path, turning back onto the cart path at a 90-degree angle. Golf courses may enforce cart path only. Majority of the time, this would be due to rain and wet fairways. In this case, you would need to leave your cart on the cart path and walk to your ball, going back to the cart path to get the cart and drive it forward. When it is cart path only, please do not drive your carts on the fairway. If the golf course is not enforcing the 90-degree rule or cart path only, it is encouraged to always keep your cart nearby. Unless specified otherwise, by the starter at the first tee or by signage on a hole, you are permitted to drive on the fairway. This means you can follow your ball with your cart and limit the amount of walking distance between your shots. Taking your cart with you as you follow your ball, as opposed to leaving your cart behind and walking back to your ball and up to the green and then backtracking to get your cart, will save you a lot of time. To keep the game moving, you always want to have your cart nearby and limit the amount of time you spend walking across the fairway. This will help you in maintaining pace of play. Please note, it is very rare that a power cart would be allowed on a par 3. All par 3s are cart path only. Typically, your cart will stay on the cart path for these holes. There is only so far up to the green that you are able to take your power cart down the fairway. Please watch for the signs, as it is a big no-no to take a power cart onto a green. As well, push carts are not permitted on the green. There is a lot of effort put into protecting greens. Power carts and push carts would destroy them. Golf courses typically allocate between 10 and 15 minutes per hole. Your goal is to complete the hole within 12 to 14 minutes. If you are on the hole for 15 minutes or longer, you are taking too long. If you think about it this way, with tee time spread 10 minutes apart, that means you have 10 minutes before groups start catching up to you. The last thing you want to do is to create a lineup behind you. It's unpleasant for you, and it's unpleasant for all the players that are held up behind you. Golf courses can be held up with 10, 12, 13 groups lined up behind a group that isn't keeping pace. With that said, there are things you can do to manage your pace. The first thing is to be conscious of the number of swings that you are taking down the fairway. After your drive, it is encouraged not to take more than 7 to 9 swings down the fairway. If you have hit 7 to 9 swings and you are not close to the green, please consider picking up your ball and dropping it with other players closer to the green. Please remember that when you are taking more than 7 to 9 swings down the fairway, you are not just taking more time for you to play, but you are also holding up the players in your group. They can only play as far forward as your ball. This is why it is important not only to take responsibility for your own individual pace with how many strokes you are taking down the fairway, but as well how much time you are taking for your practice swings. Please consider only practicing one practice swing per shot. One of the most common and effective ways to drop pace and hold up groups behind you is taking too long to look for a ball. Here is the fact of the matter: it takes a lot of balls to golf, period. You will lose balls. Please do not take any more than 2 minutes to look for a ball. If you haven't found a ball within the first minute or two, chances are you are not going to find it. You will have to part with that ball. Losing balls is part of the game. One thing you can do to make it easier to part with a lost ball is to buy cheap balls. You can get a bag of used or cheaper balls. This way, as a beginner, you have the freedom to lose your ball and leave it there, saving you time and permitting yourself to spend more time on your swing and less time in the bush. As mentioned before, your group can only play as far forward as your ball. This is because the farthest ball from the hole hits first. This means that you have a line in front of your ball and everyone is behind it. Once you hit your ball, you move up to the next ball, and so on. Everyone is behind that line. Therefore, if you are taking too many shots or too long to get down the fairway, consequently, your group won't have as much time to spend on their shots, or you will end up dropping pace. Again, it's an individual responsibility as well as a respect for the entire group. I know we are really drilling it in with the pace of play, but that is only because of how important it is. This is the first thing to master in your game of golf. This is all we will cover for pace in this section. There will be a section dedicated solely to pace of play and things you can do to get back on pace. As you move down the fairway and you start using your irons, you might take a divot. A divot happens when your club reaches under your ball and pulls a chunk of grass from the ground. This chunk of grass will fly in the air. To fix this, please place the grass back in the hole and apply some light pressure with either your foot or your club. Once you get to the green, you will continue to hit the farthest ball first, right up until everybody has sunk their ball. One rule to remember is not to walk in front of somebody's ball. This could cause the green to dent with your footprint. Always walk around a person's ball. Another thing to consider when hitting your ball onto the green is it might create a dent on the green. This is called a ball mark. It is encouraged to always fix your ball mark, as it leaves the green in good condition for all players. We will be providing additional resources below, including how to keep score, how to fix your ball mark, and a PDF rule playbook for your reference. The third thing to remember on the green is when you have hit your ball closer to the hole than others, you may be in their line and have to mark your ball. Simply take your ball marker, set it in front of your ball, lift your ball off the green, and allow others to hit. Once your ball is no longer in the line of anybody else's, set your ball behind your marker, lift your marker, and proceed with your shot. These are the basic rules of etiquette. All other rules will come in time as you spend time on the golf course, but for now, putting these into practice will help you create a more smooth and fluent game. Having a common understanding of what etiquette is will ensure everybody is respecting their entire team and sets the stage for a good time. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. Hitting from the tee into the hazards. When you drive off the tee, you might hit your ball either in a water hazard, in a sand bunker, or in the rough. If you have hit into a water hazard, you would identify the point of entry and measure 2 club lengths from that point of entry. This is where you will drop your ball. When you are measuring the 2 club lengths, be sure that you are measuring them straight out from the water or back towards the tee. It would be incorrect to measure the 2 club lengths in the direction towards the green. If you have hit your ball into the rough or into the trees and you suspect that your ball may not be findable, you would take a second shot. This second shot is called a provisional. If the ball of your first drive is not findable, you would continue play with your provisional shot. If you are able to recover your ball, with your provisional, you would simply pick up your second ball and keep your first ball in play. You would drop your ball in the same way as you did with the water hazard. However, it would be 1 club length from the rough rather than 2 club lengths from the water. If you've hit your ball into a sand bunker, you will play your ball from the bunker. After you have hit your ball, you would use the provided rake to smooth out your footprints. After you've raked the sand, you would place the rake either half in the sand and half in the grass, or on the grass at the edge of the bunker. Packing your golf bag with the necessities. Items you will need in your golf bag include a glove, tees, ball marker, divot tool, and golf balls. Tees come in different sizes. Smaller tees are typically used on par 3 holes where you'd be using an iron or a wood. Small tees slightly lift your ball off the ground. Taller tees are used with your driver. Some tees come with lines on them. These lines act as markers, which help players be consistent in how far into the ground they are placing their tee. Other items to consider putting in your golf bag include mosquito spray, Kleenex, a towel, sunglasses, a sweater or rain jacket, and extra balls. Maintaining pace of play on the course. The most important thing to know in pace of play are ways to identify and maintain pace. Faster pace players tee off at the front, as the front sets the pace for the rest of the line. There are 2 things to look for in maintaining pace. Number 1, keeping the group in front of you in sight. You can only play as fast as the group in front of you. Therefore, keeping pace with the group in front of you is the best way of maintaining the pace on the course. Number 2, watching for a lineup of groups behind you. If you see a group following closely behind you and you cannot see the group in front of you, this is a good indicator that your group has dropped pace and needs to pick up. There are 3 things that you can do to maintain pace of play. The first is to spot each other's ball. It's amazing how much time can be saved looking for your ball when you have teammates spotting it for you, picking out landscape markers and pointing you in the right direction of your ball. The second is to limit the amount of time you search for balls, as well to keep the game moving while others are looking. The third is to be mindful of how many practice swings you take, as well as how many times you hit off the tee. Taking a handful of practice swings or multiple hits off the tee can slow down the game significantly. There are 3 things you can do to pick up the pace. The first is to play ready golf. Refrain from standing around, be ready with your clubs for your shot, and shoot one player after another to speed up the pace. The second is to pick up your ball. If you have fallen back in pace, cannot see the group in front of you, and see a group directly behind you, it may be best to vote as a team to pick up your balls, move forward, and drop it in an appropriate place to put you back on pace. For example, you may pick your ball off the fairway and drop it on the green to finish that hole quickly and be back on pace, teeing off on the next hole. The third is to play best ball. As a team, you may vote to speed up the game by playing best ball. Playing best ball is when all players drop and play from the location of the best shot, putting your team back on pace and normal play for the next hole. If you have any questions about booking tee times, league policies, weather policy, and cancellations, please refer to the league orientation that was sent out at the beginning of the season. We have included a quick link to the league orientation below. For any league questions or assistance, you may contact us via live chat online, email, or phone. Your instructor will be happy to clarify any questions that you have on rules and etiquette. Please know, these are the basic rules and etiquette for starting out as a beginner. You will gain a better understanding of golf as you spend more time in the game. Thank you for being a part of the Women's Golf Network, and we look forward to seeing you at the course.